the NFC West, which will finalize my NFC predictions. NFC West, let's start in last, the Arizona Cardinals. I almost put them in third because there are aspects about this football team I like. Kyler Murray, last season, took Arizona to 6-4. Looked like they may be a surprise playoff team. Marvin Harrison Jr., I don't know if y'all seen the picture. And I don't want to be one of those people where it's like, oh, man, this guy looks buff in a picture. He's going to be better. But based on the tape that this guy put on Ohio State in college when he was one of the better receivers that we've seen really until Jeremiah Smith, obviously, recently at Ohio State. Good rookie season a year ago. Bulked up, is going to be a physical menace to defenses this year. I like the kid McBride they have at tight end. Like, they've got pieces offensively I like. And by the way, defensively, they obviously have a defensive head coach, both in free agency and in the draft. They really address the defensive side of the ball. So that is going to keep them in these games. If Arizona is like a sneaky week 17, hey, they can maybe sneak in the playoffs type of team. Would not shock me at all, but I don't really trust Kyler's health. And it does kind of always feel like Arizona, fans out in the second half of the year. Even the one season they had a winning record and made the playoffs in 2021. Remember, they kind of came apart. Rams stole the division, and Kyler was disastrous in that playoff loss to LA. So, again, there's stuff I like about Arizona, but not enough for me to buy into them as a playoff team in the NFC. Third place is the Seattle Seahawks. I'm giving them 8 and 9 simply because I think Sam Darnold will be closer to the Minnesota version of himself than the New York Jets version. With that said, there still are some things I have concerns about. Listen, McDonald as a head coach, I don't know if we have enough there to really determine whether he's good or bad. He was a great defensive coach, obviously, in Baltimore. So the Seattle's defense, which it tends to be, is going to be good this season. But going from Geno Smith to Sam Darnold, I feel like you'll see some regression there because I don't think Sam is going to be quite the guy he was in Minnesota. But Jackson Smith-Njigba is an excellent wide receiver one now. They added Cooper Kupp in the offseason, who, listen, that's much win, but this is a pro Cooper Kupp show. With that being said, the concerns about him staying healthy are real. They really have been his entire career, especially now that he's getting up there in age. I think this is year 9 for Cooper Kupp. So that's going to be a little bit of a concern for Seattle. The run game's good. So it'll keep them in games. Seattle will finish in third place in the NFC West. Little bit of a surprise here in the number 2 spot in terms of what I think they will not do. The San Francisco 49ers will go 9 and 8, and they will miss the playoffs. Here's the problem with San Francisco. First of all, their wide receiving core has been absolutely decimated by injuries over the course of camp. So that's a concern. George Kittle's still one of the top tight ends in football, but it's all health concerns. They lost 2 major pieces of the defense in Talanoa Hufanga and Dre Greenlaw. By the way, a defense that was 29th in the NFL in terms of points allowed per game. So losing those 2 guys, even though they didn't play much, that's part of the reason why they were as bad of a defense as they were. Adding Robert Saleh as their defensive coordinator, bringing him back to San Francisco will fix some of that. But again, the fact of the matter is this. I've shown some graphics with Jalen Hurts and with Aaron Rodgers. To me, the story of Brock Purdy, who just got one of the biggest contracts in the history of his position, the story of Brock Purdy can be told as follows. I guess that's the graphic. Without Deebo Samuel, who's no longer a 49er, Brandon Ayuk, who has injury concerns, Christian McCaffrey, who also has injury concerns, George Kittle and Trent Williams, who's getting up there in age, he's an average quarterback. 25 touchdowns, 21 picks, 65% completion, and the yards per game aren't bad. 90 passer rating, that's not quite what it was. Number 1 in the NFL in 2023 when he had folks fooled that he was an MVP candidate. And he's 6 games under 500. And when he's trailing in games, go and put up the graphic one more time. When he's trailing late in games, he's not the same player. And so, I think there's physical limitations there. There's only so much Kyle Shanahan can do. Offensively, it is not the same team, certainly that we saw in 2023. I think you're going to see a closer version of San Francisco that we saw last year. They'll be competitive. They're well coached on both sides of the ball, but too many holes. Offensive line isn't great. Purdy's limited. And defensively, they lost too many guys. They're too young for me to really buy into as a serious contender. Forget to win the NFC just to get in the playoffs, which I don't think they will. And that leaves obviously number 1 in the NFC West. I've sold a little bit of stock in the Los Angeles Rams for this reason. Matthew Stafford, the injury concerns are a real thing. The back problems that he's been dealing with all of training camp. And the fact of the matter is this. As great as Stafford was in those 2 playoff games, he was awesome against Minnesota in that first playoff win in the wild card round. And despite the turnovers, I don't know which quarterback came closer than any of them to beating Philadelphia in the playoffs. By the way, in a snowstorm in Philadelphia, it was none other than Matthew Stafford. So that's a real thing. But the numbers last year did not blow your socks off. I think he had like 24 touchdown passes. The Rams in their last 3 games Stafford played failed to score 20 points. Kind of, I feel like they limped across the finish line. I think Jared Verse is going to have an absolute monster year for that Los Angeles Rams defensive line. And he's going to need to in order for them to win these games. Sean McVay is one of the 3 best coaches in football. They have Puka Nacua, who's an absolute stud. They added Devontae Adams, who for the first time in his career is a true wide receiver too, which could be scary for defenses around the football National Football League. Kyron Williams at running back, they locked him up long term. That's good. So there are things to love about this Rams team. I think they are a serious contender to win the NFC. I really do. But the health and the age of their superstar quarterback, Matthew Stafford, do concern me. So that's how I have the NFC West shaking out. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube, and be sure to go click that big red subscribe button and check out the other clips and full shows from Carving It Up Live, as well as our other incredible content creators here on the Grid Network.